Today I'm going to talk about ERVs and how to measure the airflow across the core. So every ERV has a couple components that are always the same. One is this core here, which you can see is kind of like a cardboard type material. And what the core does is allow airflow to go this way and airflow to go this way, but allows the heat to exchange as well as the moisture. Now there's a fan on this side that'll pressurize this part of the cabinet, push the air across here, and then go out this way. This fan does the same thing, pressurizes or depressurizes, and then pulls the air from this direction. So the air streams never mix, but they exchange heat and moisture. Now the manufacturers will measure this core for airflow. All right, so if you know how much static pressure is in any given size hole, you can measure how much airflow goes across it, given a couple other factors. But generally speaking, if you know how much static pressure is in a pipe, you can measure the airflow as long as the other ends are both open. Blower door does the same thing. If you know the static pressure and you know the size, you can measure the airflow. So the manufacturers test these cores. They know the opening, the clear opening inside of the airflows, and then they pressurize them and measure how much airflow is going through them, and then they publish a chart. In this chart, it tells you the differential static pressure across the core and then gives a corresponding airflow. So if the static pressure is across the core is 0.1, it's approximately 42 CFM. If it's 0.2, it's 84. If it's 0.3, it's 127. But here's the interesting thing is that the higher the static pressure, the higher the airflow. And that may seem obvious to some people and it may seem backwards to others. So when you first look at this, you think the higher the static pressure, the harder it is to get air across it and the lower the airflow is going to be. So if you were measuring an HVAC system and it had high static pressure, you'd think it had lower airflow. In this case, what it's measuring is not the static pressure in the lines necessarily, but the difference in the static pressure between each side, and therefore what the core is experiencing for pressure. And by knowing what this core is experiencing, you can measure the airflow. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to measure the pressure in each one of these sides and demonstrate how this will work. We're going to call this 0.15. We're going to call this one 0.32. We're going to call this one 0.07. I'm going to call this one 0.15. But what we actually want to measure is the pressure drop across the core. So now we're measuring on this port and this port. And this is going to tell us 0.17. And the reason why is because 0.32 minus 0.15 is 0.17. It's the difference in what these pressures are. So what we're actually measuring is what the core is actually experiencing, which is a 0.17. Knowing that a 0.17 is what that core is experiencing, along with the given space of the net opening, that's going to calculate the airflow. So like I said, they've already done this. They've already calculated it. All right, so now on this one, we're going to measure both of these. And then this is going to tell us the difference in between. If we round that up, it's going to be a 0.08. 0.07 plus 0.08 is a 0.15. So the difference in this core is a 0.08. So this core in this direction is experiencing a 0.08 inches of water column of static pressure. So if you do the math, it's going to be 33.6 CFM going in this direction. So if we have a 0.17 inches of water column across the core, that's going to give us a CFM of 71.4. So you can see we're way out of balance here. This is only going to give 33 CFM of fresh air and exhaust, 71 CFM of stale air. So this is going to have to be adjusted, but at least this gives you an understanding of what is actually referencing when this says static pressure across the core. So again, what it's actually measuring is what this core in the middle is experiencing for pressure. It's not necessarily what the pressure is here or here, but what the difference is what the core experiences given the net opening calculates the airflow. So 71 or 33 CFM.